Welcome to Manifesting with Ari Mac. I'm your host, Miss Ari McIntyre, spiritual life coach. I want to say a spiritual astrologist because I don't predict the future, but I help you navigate it through it. Okay, through astrology, affirmations, aromatherapy, and it does work. Today, we're going to be talking about decoding your signs. Now, we're smack dab in the middle of the holidays. And I know everybody has a bunch of stuff going on. I hope your family's in good health. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. I hope you guys are just in the most beautiful mindset possible. But we still have some things going on in astrology that I want to share. And I want to help you understand how I get to the conclusions that I get to. Okay. Because the energy is real, it's actually happening. And if you learn to follow the rhythm of the universe, you don't go against it so much, if that makes any sense. You actually flow with it, which can make your life a lot easier. Okay. Now, I've been doing this for over 25 years, longer than that, because I started studying astrology when I was probably like, I don't know, 12, 11, something like that, because I thought my brother was trying to kill me. My brother's an Aries and he's an action sign. And you guys know Aries is fire. Okay. And they got to be number one. Well, I'm a Piscean. So I'm a water baby. I'm the last of the signs. So basically, I'm more emotional, more sensitive. So I like to talk and feel my way through. He liked to punch his way through. So we're going to talk about that today. And we're going to talk about how important it is for you to understand yourself, understand your psychology, your mental, your spiritual, which can make you an absolutely fantastic person. And guess what? You get to hit all your goals. So take some notes, sit back. I'm live on my TikTok under Candles by Ari. Thank you guys for joining me there. Don't forget to share, guys, and hit the like and some comments and show me some love because this is a labor of love for me. And I know it's not for everybody. I'm going to say right now that I know what I say is not for everybody. So if you guys do not have a deep faith in your higher ability and spirit or God, if you're not committed to making any efforts to change where you are in your existence, then you need to go ahead and leave because I'm not that girl. Okay. Everybody who is in my realm, that includes my family and friends, they improve. We grow, we change because we're doing that anyway. So I believe in following the flow so we can enjoy getting older. We can enjoy having the loves of our lives. We can enjoy making money and enjoying it and not just slaving at jobs. Okay. So if this is not for you, thank you so much for joining. Bye bye. But if it is for you, make sure you share, hit that like button, and leave some comments at the end of the show. Okay. All right. So, because I'm an aromatherapist, I'm going to start with the purple candle, which is the featured candle this month at Candles by Ari. And okay, I'm getting myself there, so you guys get to watch. Mm. It's just something about having something that smells beautiful, and then you get to say something positive to yourself. I accept the power and improve my life, accept and love myself the way I am now under grace and perfect way. It just sets a tone. So I'm going to go ahead and do this for me because I need this. So we're going to go ahead and get that set up right there. All right. So let's talk about astrology. Astrology is the 10 planets that's above us, and there's 12 signs. Okay, I know 10, 12. How does that work? Two of the signs share one planet, and that's Venus and that's Mercury. Okay, they just happen to be closer to the Earth. So is Mars. Okay, I don't know if you remember a book back in the day because Mars, women are from Venus, men are from Mars. That actually had a lot of validity to it because Venus does rule more of the feminine energy, and Mars more rules more of the masculine energy. Venus is how you are when you are falling in love. Mars is how you are when you're in love. And wherever you're born, like right now, we're in the Sagittarius cycle. Happy birthday to all my Sagittarius. I was born from a beautiful Sag woman, and I have to tell you, they can be the most generous, most loving people, but please do not piss them off. They will torture you for sport, and they're smart. They rule justice, they rule honor, they're lucky. Jupiter is their planet. I mean, trust and believe. Of all the fire trilogy, I think they can be the more dangerous because they're mutable. And I think more gangsters are Sagittarius is, or is it sociopaths? Or is it Pisces? I'm not sure, but I know it's mutable because they see things from different directions. So happy birthday to all my Sagittariuses. And oh, by the way, I do have a sense of humor because I think spirit has given us humor so that we have to choose between laughter and crying. I'm going to go with laughter. Okay. So 10 planets, 12 signs, and then they're broken up into elements. Now, here's when it gets interesting. Okay. Because these elements, when you look at a chart, when you're actually born, and we'll look at the stars in just a second, the planets and the signs were in a certain position. Okay. They have their natural positioning, right? Where they're supposed to be, right? Because Mars, for example, rules Aries. It's easy peasy. Once upon a time, Mars also ruled Scorpio. And we'll talk about that in our roundtable talk that you guys can be invited to in the future. So, Mars right now is in Sagittarius. So is Venus. So that's a lot of fire. Now, Venus is normally running around with Taurus and Libra, both trying to be a balanced sign. Both are very beautiful people, physically and I think mentally. I can't talk for their insides because it depends on where they are. So we all know where we are when we were born. Then the universe has this little way of breaking down where our moons are. Now, the moon moves position every 2.5 days. Okay. And that moon's position is ruled by Cancer, which is a water sign. Yeah. See how it's all falling into place? Okay. So your moon is your hidden side. That's the side that not a lot of people get to see. And it's developed through family and friends. Consider it like the roots, like your roots when you're born. This is your family. This is who you started with. And a lot of times we think to ourselves, what did I do to pick the family that I have? But in actuality, they also picked you. So it was a mutual decision to either pay off some karma, to learn something that you needed to learn, or be just because you thought they were cool ass people, you thought that, hey, why not? So you look at your moon, then you look at your sun, the rising sign, which is the mask that you wear for the world, that's determined by your day of birth. I mean, that's actually determined by your time of birth. So that's a longitude, latitude. Now, I have developed a formula that I do with my clients to figure out their rising signs. And that's not mandatory, but it helps me because when we do a wheel, because think of it as a pie chart, we take your day of time, your day of birth, and we drop it into this wheel. Okay, we have the natural positioning, and then we have the positioning that you decided when you were born. So you take your sun sign, you take your moon, you take your Mercury. Now, Mercury is also one of the planets that's closer to our Earth, which consider Earth to be us. That's where we start. That's where we were born. Okay, and our Mercury determines how we talk, how we walk, how we interact with people, and even how we love. It's very fascinating. So when you look at your chart, okay, it's very interesting because each one has their own unique code as to why you are where you are, why you do what you do. But see, here's the beautiful part. You don't have to stay where you are, people. The universe and spirit gives you choice, gives you free will. So you can actually take it up a couple of notches. You can learn something. You can grow through something, even through pain, even through pain, especially through pain, because as a metaphysical person, I know we are spirit in human form. Okay. And our spirits will survive. That's why someone who doesn't have limbs can still work, or someone that doesn't have full control of their mind can still produce, like a Stephen Hawkins. Okay. Our entity of spirit is so strong that it can will anything you want, good or bad, into your existence. Now, my job as a spiritual, intuitive astrology coach is to guide you through this energy without you losing your ever loving mind. Not always easy, not always easy. Mercury retrogrades, and any retrograde, but especially Mercury retrograde, has a deeper impact on us because it's closer to actual the planet that we live in, Earth. So when you look at where we are right now, and I'll drop that down in a second, it gives credence for us to understand why certain cycles take place. We're right now in a Sagittarian cycle. And I think Mercury's still in Scorpio. I'm going to check that out in just a second because it's actually in the process of moving. But every time that dial moves, it affects your mood, it affects your money, It affects how people interact with you. It just takes everything to a whole nother level. And if you do not know your triggers, if you do not understand your strengths and your weaknesses, you can very easily get caught up in a cycle of what you think you've learned, even if it's a bad habit. I know that sounds silly, but it's true. Bad habits can become quite normal because we're used to them. And once you get used to something, the human, wow, the human mindset, the human spirit, the resilience is amazing. I have a client whose mother's a hoarder. And I mean severe hoarding. I mean, she's kept everything from her five children since they were little. And they're all in their 40s now. One of them's, I think, about to turn 50. She has a four-bedroom house with, I think, two or three bathrooms, stuffed to the gills from top to bottom with stuff. Now, some stuff may be of value to her, but most of it is not considered of value. Well, her mother has a lot of water in her chart, which means she's very emotional. And for her, everything she holds on to has a meaning because that's what hoarders put their love into. They put their stock into it. So let's start with Earth. Now, Earth is Taurus, Capricorn, and Virgo. And it's just like it says, it's Earth. But each one of these Earth signs has a particular style that they work with. Taurus is a fixed sign. So once it sets its mind to something, it's very focused, it's very hardworking. And for it to change, it needs a lot of logical, logistical, and psychological prepping. Virgo is a mutable sign. Now, it rules communication. It's ruled by the planet Mercury, and it shares that planet with Gemini. So, with Virgo, they have to be of service somewhere. They have to be moving around. They have to give in some way, shape, or form. Now, Capricorn rules structure. It's actually our reputations, our physical skin of our body, and that is how we're perceived on the outside. They're usually very hardworking, and they usually like to put on the image of being well kept, even if they're not. Now, Earth is the basic planet we all need. We have to have some Earth in our chart, even if it's only one planet. It doesn't mean it's guaranteed because if we go into the actual houses, which I will get into a little bit later. So everybody has a little bit of Earth in their chart. Then we're going to water. Now that's Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio. Now Pisces rules compassion. They're spiritualists. They're two fishes moving in opposite directions, and they're mutable. Really, do I have to say more? Pisceans is ruled by Neptune. One of the biggest things we have on our planet is water, and that is why Pisces rules Neptune. Okay. Then we have Cancer. Now, as I said before, Cancer, thank you, Missy Yvette. Appreciate the love. Mwah. Cancer is ruled by the moon. And so the moon's position changes every 2.5 days. So every 2.5 days, the moon goes into a different sign. So sometimes people think cancers are very moody and unpredictable. But if you know cancers who are grounded and, well taken care of, they're pretty much a beautiful people if they have good placements in their chart. Now we all know about Scorpio, which is also a water sign. Oh, and Cancer is also ruled by the crab. So its symbol is the crab. And I love the crab because I love crab meat, but on the outside it has a really hard side, but on the inside they're very mushy. And a lot of times cancers are just that way. Then we go into Scorpio. Now, Scorpio is just like it says. It's the sign of the scorpion. It's got a really bad reputation among some people for their sexuality. It's ruled by Pluto, which is the underworld, death, hidden stuff, sex, on and so forth. But Scorpio can also be spiritual. Their venom can be healing, such as Botox. Okay. And it gives a huge resilience because Scorpio is also a fixed water sign, something that we don't have, but only in that planet. Okay. Then we go into the fire trilogy. Now that's my Aries, my Leos, and my Sagittarius. Now, Aries is ruled by Mars. That's the planet of war. They want to make it happen. They're usually initiators. They do not like to sit and wait. They can be considered a little selfish, but they're always the first at the party and always the first to be the pioneers of certain industries. They're ruled by Mars. Then we have Leo. Now, Leo is actually ruled by the sun. Yeah, the sun itself. And it is fire. Now, it is the only fixed sign of the three fire sign trilogies. I know, right? And it is said that the Leo is one of the strongest giving sign because it rules children and our ego. Now, can't we be childish? Can our egos not be the most silliest things? And they usually have great sense of humor. And then we have Sagittarius. Now, Sagittarius is an interesting one. And like I said, happy birthday to all my Sagittarius because we're in your cycle right now. Happy birthday to my mother. Thank you, mommy. She'll see this later. Sag is literally ruled by Jupiter, the planet of expansion. It is one of the biggest planets that we have in our solar system. But Sag itself is half human and half animal. And if you know anything about a Sag, they're extremely intelligent, extremely smart, but also can be extremely dangerous because they're mutable. They have to move around, they always want to learn, and they're the type of people that just get the job done. You see them in the background just doing the work. They don't need to sit and chit and chat. They actually are initiating and engaging. And they're usually lovely people. But you have to watch their mouths because they do not hold back. They are smart asses and they're not dumbasses. So be warned. Then we get into our air. Now, air is our Gemini, our Libra, and our Aquarius. Now, Gemini shares its planet with Mercury with Virgo. Now, Virgo's the earth side, remember? Well, this is the air side. So, Gemini represents the twins. Okay, two people. And a lot of people say there are two people. I believe there are two people. Oh, thank you, Missy Beth. Guys, hit my like. Give me some love. I appreciate all love. Thank you. Okay, so that's Gemini. Then we get into Libra. Now, Libra is actually balanced. It's actually justice. Okay, and it's ruled by Venus. So it likes beautiful justice. All right, but it's actually the symbol of justice. It rules justice, it rules beauty, and mainly partnerships. They came down to help develop partnerships along with that Venus, with that Taurus. Venus is more on the Taurus, and Venus is more on the physical side, while Venus in Libra is more on the intellectual side. They want the emotional, they want the understanding, and they want to merge with you as much as possible on the psychological level. Then we go into Aquarius. Aquarius is ruled by Uranus. Say that fast 3 times. Uranus, Uranus, Uranus. Now, Uranus is the unexpected planet. It rules humanitarian. It's a fixed air sign. Okay. So once it decides something, you usually cannot change its mind. But they also march to a different beat because they rule electricity, humanity. They're here to keep the balance and keep fairness so that people know that they're loved, but at the same time have the independence to grow at their own pace. Now, when you put all these different elements together with the different signs and the different planets, that's where astrology grows. And that's where it becomes very fascinating because it actually gives you credence to see energy in certain positions that maybe or maybe not, you think they may or may not affect you, but they do have an influence on you. Now, right now, as I said, the sun is in Sagittarius, and we have Mercury still in Scorpio. It's going to enter Sagittarius, which I'm looking forward to on December 11th. And Venus is in Sagittarius. Ooh, that's a good one. So, Sagittarius, you guys having a good time with Venus and Mars both being in Sagittarius. Jupiter, planet of expansion, is in Cancer, going backwards. Saturn, the disciplinarian, is in Pisces. That's compassion. It's not going backwards anymore. Thank you, sweet spirit. The planets on the outer side, after we leave Mars, are the slower moving planets. It takes them years sometime to go through one sign. And that's why they have a deeper impact on us because it's a slower impact, but it does roll upon us. Then you got Uranus. Now, we just talked about Uranus being ruled naturally by Aquarius. Well, right now it's in Taurus going backwards. So a lot of my Taurus people are going through a lot of transformations, both physically and mentally, because they don't have the same routine. Usually it's activities that they don't have control over and they have to be flexible about it, or it can make them a little cuckoo. Then you got Neptune in Pisces going backwards. Now, Neptune is naturally a ruler of Pisces, so that gives it double power. But for Pisces, you may feel like you're re engaging or reorganizing, or you're in your own personal retrograde. Yeah, you are. And then we have Pluto. Now, remember, Pluto is the hidden planet. It's normally ruled by Scorpio, right? The hidden, the back, the undertow. Well, right now, Pluto has decided it wants to go into, and it's in Aquarius, and it's going to be there for quite some time, okay, till at least 2026. So when I look at this and I see what's going on our plane, I see a lot of freedom because Sag, remember, is the planet of freedom. They want to talk about it. They want to move forward. And with Mercury still being in Scorpio, it's a lot of hidden stuff coming up right now. You may have to deal with some plans or organizations that you didn't expect to happen. Now, if you guys have a particular question, put it in the chat and I will try to answer it to the best of my abilities. But I'm trying to give you a decoding so you can understand how I come to the conclusions with some of the things that I suggest and predict. Now, I do have a program that breaks this down weekly for each and every single sign and element to give you opportunity to understand what's coming toward you. And it also has the best days so that you can also plan ahead. Because I don't know about you, but I like knowing when some good stuff's coming toward me so I can be anticipating it and I can get with it. Now, right now, with all the Sagittarius going on, it's a lot of conversations of truth. A lot of things that have been hidden that may come to pass. And you guys got to decide what your truth is. Because I know sometimes we hold on to what we were told, what we used to do. We always did it that way. Remember that? And with the modern times, we're literally progressing and growing at a rate that even more faster than we can imagine. Literally. And with Pluto being in Aquarius, it's about our hidden humanities coming up to the surface. And sometimes, guys, we don't even know what that is until we're in that situation. Now, for example, my mother works with Salvation Army. It's one of her passions. It's something she's done for many, many years. And she does a lot of volunteer work there. Hey, Skittles, thanks for joining. Appreciate. Recently, while she was working, a lady came in with a snake. And I'm not going to say a snake, but a boa, boa constrictors. Now, normally they do not let people in the store with animals, but she said it was a service animal. They gave her comfort. So they allowed her to come in. My mother does not like snakes at all. She had a really bad experience as a child. So she goes into trauma whenever she has to deal with anything of that nature. Now, she did explain to the lady, Sagittarius, that she don't play that. Like, please stay over there. If you need some help, let me know. I'll see what I can do. But I'm really not comfortable with snakes. The lady decided to play a game and say, "Oh, are you?" and brought the snake closer. Well, this completely freaked my mother out. Completely. And with her mouth and with her disposition, she decided to let her boss know it was best. Oh, thank you, Miss Skittles. Thank you so much. Wow, a bear. Oh, goodness gracious. Is it Christmas? She decided to let her boss know she needed to take a break and she may not come back. Now, her boss didn't know that. Oh, thank you, love. She had no idea till my mother bounced and she didn't come back. That's the kind of energy you're dealing with. They're not going to scream and yell at you. They're going to tell you something. It's going to be very clear. And you got to decide, is it your truth or is it not? When my mother told her boss that she couldn't handle snakes, she meant that. Because it definitely, she's definitely afraid of them. Like, she's afraid she's going to get bit by one and die. And guys, when you fear something that much, the anxiety level will manifest because you're so terrified at the experience you had, and that energy still resonates in your body. So my mom's truth gave this other lady a chance to see she wasn't playing and gave her boss a chance to see that my mother will bounce. Hey, that's healthy. That's what healthy boundaries look like. And that's the person who raised me. So I commended her for having the strength to walk away and not blow up, because that's another option. You can lose control. You can say and do things and put it out in the universe, and you can't take it back once you say something, because the universe hears you. They understand where you're coming from. And if you say something enough, or you have enough faith in what you're doing and people believe you, you manifest what you're asking for. So when you're looking at your chart, or well, let's just say when I'm looking at a chart, I look at your Mercury first to see how you think. Mercury's and earth signs are usually more practical, especially if it's in a fixed sign. That would be Taurus, Leo, Aquarius, and Scorpio. They don't even realize how fixed they are. The house that it falls in tells me the style of which they do it. Your moon tells me your hidden self. Moons in Aquarius are usually more detached, and a lot of people think they're Teflon because they appear to be very calm. They're not. They just put on a really good front, like Aquarius energy does, because it appears to be kind of like spaced out. A lot of people mistake their detachedness for lack of emotion. They're like the Spock of astrology. When they do blow, holy shit, do they blow, because they hold all that energy in and take everything in. And they're extremely psychic. They may not want to admit it, but they do observe and watch people as they go. So if your Mercury just happens to be in a water sign, which is the Pisces, the Scorpio, or the Cancer, your emotions are going to rule you first. You're always going to see something in the way that it would emotionally affect you and the people around you. Okay, so you're automatically going to go, whoa. And these are not bad or good signs, it's just your nature, it's just how you are. Now, if your Mercury happens to fall in a air sign, most likely you can intellectualize a lot. That's Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. Not that you're detached, not that you don't care, but air is intellectual. They rule the written word, the actual library. I am sure an air sign put that together. All right. Now, when we get into fire, now I like fire. Don't get me wrong. It initiates, it agitates, and it moves things along. But when you have a Mercury, which is how you speak, in a fire sign, like an Aries, a Leo, or Sagittarius, you don't have a lot of filters. You stay and do whatever you please and can be kind of a brute at times because your energy doesn't see why you can't do it. I can always tell fire sign children because they're just taking care of their business and handling their business and doing what they want to do. And it's not a bad thing, especially if you can direct them to use their powers for leadership, because then they can help direct the environment in our community, which is what you want in the future, strong leaders that don't have a problem speaking up and standing their ground and holding that line of intellectual understanding. So when you look at your Mercury in your chart, just look at how you identify with that element and then look how you identify with that sign. Moving on to Venus. Now, Venus is how we love, how we fall in love. Venus in an earth sign is usually very down to earth. They're the ones that go and buy you flowers. That's the Taurus, the Capricorn, and the Virgos. They do practical things like pay your bills, help you stay organized, make sure your clothes look good because they rule a physical sign. Now, if your Venus happens to be in a water sign, that would be Pisces, Cancer, or Scorpio, you're going to want them to emotionally feel how you care for them. You're going to want to make sure they feel emotionally satisfied, doing things like cooking for them or cleaning for them, and doing something where you have a close proximity to their emotional needs, because that's where water is. It flows around you. Now, if your Venus just happens to be in an air sign, which is Gemini, Aquarius, or Libra, you're going to be more intellectual. You're going to give them practical approaches, and you're going to hope that they listen to you because you are keeping score of everything you're doing. You're not just speaking it and talking bullshit. You're walking the walk and talking the talk, and you expect them to use the suggestions that you're making. Now, if your Venus happens to be in a I get air, water, which one did I miss, you guys? I got earth, water, fire. Oh, fire, fire. Let me know if I did this. If it's in a fire sign, it's hard for Venus. I'm not gonna lie, because Venus is normally very loving, very beautiful. And when you put like an Aries or a Leo or a Sagittarius in that, it's an initiator. Okay. It's that man or that woman that's gonna make sure you know, oh, thank you, fire. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, that's cute, man. But when you are dealing with the actual fire in Mercury, they're going to be the initiators. Okay. And as you get closer to them, they will go buy you clothes. They will tell you to change into something if you're not looking up to par when you're going someplace with them. Trust and believe. Okay. Especially Mercury and Aries will let you know that is not working for me. While a Mercury in Libra will say, hey, can I help you make some adjustments? You see the difference? Okay. Now, ironically, these signs also have opposing signs. I know, right? It's fascinating, this astrology. And that's why I created these programs, because in order to help the people that qualify for my program, you have to first of all be willing to listen to all this information, but you also have to be committed to self growth, self discovery, because these planets change every single day. And the snapshot of your birthday or your time of birth is the beginning of your journey. And as we continue that journey, you can tell by the people that you draw to yourself, the money that you make, the attitude that you have, the children that you rear, whether or not you're actually understanding your sign. Okay. So when you decode your sign, or when I decode your sign, I look at your Mercury, your Moon, your Venus, and your Mars. Now, Mars is how we are when we fall in love, right? Mars in Sagittarius, it's actually comfortable there because remember, Mars is normally ruled by Aries, and Aries is a fire sign. So Mars works really well in fire with Leo in Aries. And right now it's in Sagittarius. So Mars and Sag, I just got to say they're lucky. They are just charming. Even if there are bits of smartass in them, and even if they kind of get on people's nerves, you just gotta love them because they have a certain jokey. It's like a humorous part to them. The most famous Sagittarius, Richard Pryor, one of my favorite comedians, he took tragedy, you guys. And I don't know his whole chart, but I do know his sun sign, where he grew up in a brothel, where his grandmother was the madam. His mother was a prostitute, and the father was the pimp. And they treated him like a little king. Yes, they made money in the sex industry. And yes, he went to the finest schools, but he also got to see the most depraved parts of humanity. And somehow, you guys, not only did he survive it, but he thrived. Remember, I told you about that Sag being able to use that humor? He took that humor from a very just debauchable type of situation that nobody would wish on any being and made it into a comedy. Now, eventually, this energy did catch up with him because you also have to heal, guys. These energies are not, they don't come with a expiration date or a downside. Well, they do have a downside, but the downside is what you make of it. So when we're in this cycle of Sagittarius, which is a very given cycle, which is not coincidental, we're going into the holidays. We have to start thinking about where we're giving to. Who are you trying to impress? What people are you trying to draw to yourself? Now, I use aromatherapy along with my astrology and my affirmations because I know the power of the spoken word. I know the power of scents and fragrances because I've seen it. I've witnessed it. I've watched someone turn their lives around completely simply by working on their inner dialogue, working on that inner child. Because everything we learn is from 0 to 5. And after that, we're repeating the cycles over and over and over again. Astrology helps you guide through that. Affirmations help you reprogram your brain. It's not an easy task. And aromatherapy gives you that grounding scent to keep reminding you to move forward. Because here's the other thing, after you start manifesting, after things start coming to be on a regular basis, people get arrogant. I've seen it. It's like when someone is on medication and they start feeling better and they start thinking they have made themselves feel better and they no longer need the medications. That's the first sign of arrogance and usually the first sign of your destruction because it took a lot to get you started. But when you start thinking you don't need it, you stop paying attention, you stop engaging, you're asking for an ass whooping. You're asking for the universe to tap that ass. Why? Because you're no longer paying attention. And you know better. You know better. Because once you know better, you can't act like you don't. No, don't get me wrong. You can't. There's a hell of a lot of people that should win Academy Awards for acting like they don't know what the hell's going on. And remember, when something's too painful, as human beings, we choose to forget it. We'll just act like it didn't happen. Like, what? Huh? You say, what? Haven't we seen that over and over again? Now, I know it's also a way of surviving, but that's why living in the time we are right now, with all, I know, right? With all of this information at your fingertips. I mean, even now, being able to talk to, have this a session recorded and you can see it again and again. Okay, you guys on TikTok would have to go to my YouTube, but you get the drift. Bottom line is, you got a chance to grow. You got a chance to take this information and do with it what you need for your own self growth, for your own positive just insight. Who doesn't want to be loved? And guys, sometimes we attract certain energies because of the unfortunate situations and traumas that we go through. And Venus talks to us about that. Venus and Aries will always try to push to get their attention of the person they love until they learn to be the best that they can be to draw what they need in. You see what I'm saying? Because they stop being the ram, because, Aries, the ram, and they become the little lamb. Mary had a little lamb whose fleece was white as snow, and everywhere that Mary went, the lamb was sure to go. That's how loving and sweet Aries, especially Venus and Aries energy can be. They won't even talk. They'll just follow you around, take care of you. They're the ones that go shopping with you and don't even have money and don't even want to buy anything. They just want to be with you. So when you find your positioning and you start understanding your own psyche, right, and how you got here, it's a beautiful thing to see someone blossom, to see them grow, to actually see them go ding ding. That makes sense. Because when you've had trauma, sometimes people think they just got it because, people didn't care or circumstances, and that may very well be the truth. Okay. But here's what I do know. Whatever is in you, if you are become aware of it, you can grow through it. Doesn't mean that it's 100% healed. It just means, like a condition, it's there, your triggers, you become more familiar with what you cannot do because your body just does not allow it. Something in your psyche can't handle it anymore. And once more, you don't have to. You don't have to stay in trauma. You don't have to stay in pain. Okay. I have some friends right now that are going through a lot of medical stuff. So we're going to be looking for homeopathic ways now. Not saying that modern medicine isn't fantastic. I think there's some incredible growths going on. But I also know that metaphysically, us being in a spiritual being in a physical form, we may be missing minerals and vitamins that we just didn't even know we needed in our bodies. And homeopathic medicine offers an alternative. Now, it's not for everybody. So you do need to verify, do your own homework, do your own research. But in my observation, it gives you an alternative that's not so evasive, because sometimes medications do have side effects. They do take more from the organs, especially the kidneys and the livers, and that can be very stressful. And ultimately, you don't want to take them because of the side effects. Totally understandable. So you do have to enter at your own risk. But once you start understanding your body, when you stop looking for the outside and start listening to the inside, and you and your body become friends, and you and your psyche stop feeling like you're not worthy, you stop putting yourself on all of these different, like the Joneses. Who the fuck are the Joneses? Would somebody tell me? I've never met a Jones. That's not true. I did. And he wasn't that great. Okay. I met a Todd Jones and he was not pushy, nor did he have a bunch of standards, nor did he have a big old house. Matter of fact, his wife had more money than him. So I don't know who the Joneses are. I know the Duharts, I know the Satterwhites, I know the LaRues, I know the Formans. And they're all very due diligent, faithful people who work every day not to show their ass. That's really the big key, is not to show your ass, guys. Oh, thank you, Missy. That love you. Thanks. Aw, for the hearts. Thanks. But what do you think about your sun sign? I'm asking you guys here. Talk to me in the chats. Do you even know where your moon is? Now, I'm going to invite you here at the Candles by Ari, Manifesting with Ari Mac, to actually look at your chart. Here's the beautiful part. You don't have to go through me. Now, I'm the best, okay, because I will break this down. It does take me at least a week or so, depending on when you pop up or when you schedule, okay, to look at your chart to see what energies is coming down, what's coming towards you, and to get you prepared for your goals and your aspirations, okay? But aromatherapy is where we start now. As I said before, this is our purple candle, and this is going to be the featured candle for this month. I know it's the holidays, but it's something about this berry wood scent that's just, and the affirmations that's actually on the candles have worked for decades. Decades, I shit you not. And this is something that I discovered through my science. See, I didn't start off trying to be a spiritual healer. It actually came to me. And as I allowed the energies to flow, I realized that it actually helped me heal. It helped me grow. And in exchange, it's a give and take. It's a divine flow. I can't describe it. But the energies, especially when you receive what you're putting out, is a beautiful thing. It is a beautiful thing. So as you look at your chart and your sign and your planets, decoding this is not easy. Okay, there's a lot of great free chart stuff online, so it's a good place to start. So I do recommend, putting in for a free natal chart is what it's called, and getting a little general synopsis of where you start. But when you put all those things together, right, with your affirmations, with your aromatherapy, with your astrology insight, you start seeing a rhythm. Now, I don't know if you've noticed, but the last 3 weeks have been kind of on the challenging side. Okay. I spoke into one of my promotional videos that literally my phone kept going on and off. It just kept going on and off, on and off. I finally cut the damn thing off because it was driving me batshit crazy. Okay. And it was nothing I could do about it. I called the phone company. They had no moss. And I knew it was because of retro. I knew it's because the Mercury planet was going backwards and it flipped into Scorpio. And Scorpio is about hidden stuff. And I probably had some sort of freaking virus or some malfunctioning thing on my phone. And sure as tootin' I did. So you know what I had to do? A factory reset. Now, here's the beautiful part, because you can actually receive and relearn. And since I've had a lot of issues in the past, I decided to make sure my material was backed up. Okay. And I decided to take my time and not push and wait till the retrograde was a little clear. We're in fallout right now. The retrograde ended on Sunday, last Sunday, and we are definitely in fallout. So if you feel like miscommunications, like you guys have been discussing something for the last 3 weeks, and then booyah, none of that is working, and they look at you like you're talking gibberish, yeah, that'd be retro fallout. That's what that looked like. And don't be mad, because sometimes we have to go through this because we need to reassess something. We need to relearn something. I know for myself, I got my ass kicked, but I've learned to believe in backing up everything on the electrical side. And when something ain't working, and Lord knows I try, I leave it be. I even had, because I have some legal issues with my name that I've been working on for the last 2 years. I pretty much was ready to go and just start the whole legal process. As I was starting it, because I thought maybe in a retrograde it'd be revealing. Well, it was, but in a way I didn't anticipate. First and foremost, I couldn't get some of the paperwork started right because I had to create something online that the system was having issues. Okay, let that be. Then my phone, which you're supposed to receive codes on, was not working with me. And this is the kicker of all of it. I finally sit down because me and my mom have this long talk, and she reminds me, see the R, that I was baptized at a church that my grandmother helped develop, and it still exists because the hospital I was born in burned down. So I couldn't get those records. Do you know how frustrating it was to go through all that stuff, pay people to get things done, and I now can get in contact with the church and start again? And I am in the process of doing that. I actually have family members that are helping me do that. That was revealed, you guys, as I was trying to release and move forward, and everything said no. Now, I know the law, so I learned to yield, even though I'm going to tell you right now, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay, I wanted to go forward and get this done because I'm done and I'm done. And the universe said, did we say you were done? Did we tell you that was going to work? Did that run smoothly? No, it did not. Why? Because it's not where you're supposed to be. Now that I've spoken to my mother, this is a whole nother avenue that will probably be more effective and more smooth. And I can't even say anything. Can't say one word. All right? Because that's how the universe works. But we have to stand still, and we have to allow that energy to come through us, guys. And it's on their time, not ours. You don't have this, I'm going to walk in and do something. No, no, no. This is not McDonald's. It ain't Burger King either. You ain't going to have it your way. Now, you'll get it the divine way. And that's what I show. That's what I teach. That's what I support. And I've seen it. I've seen it when things weren't smooth. I've seen it when people have manifested their homes, their families, their securities, their money, the loves of their lives, because everybody has a divinely selected mate. Everyone does. Now, whether or not you guys connect, that's up to you individually. Because maybe you guys have some communication issues you need to work out. Maybe you have some fear. Because I find a lot of times when you have your own anxiety and you're not comfortable in your own skin, it's pretty hard for somebody to tell you you're beautiful. It's pretty hard for you to believe that somebody could love all of this the way it is and not judge you. It's pretty hard. But when you actually start receiving yourself, that means you start understanding, hey, you know what? My moon's in Scorpio and I'm way more emotional than I actually want to be, but keep talking. I'm not going anywhere. Just keep showing me that you love me. And I promise I will make an effort every day to receive that and show you in return. That's powerful, guys. That's the most powerful thing you can do is to change your life course by your own free will. So I'm going to ask you guys to join me, to follow me, to like me, to share and subscribe because this energy is here. See, the stars are going to affect you whether or not you pay attention to them. That's the truth. They're going to have some effect on you. So why, oh why wouldn't you want a free insight or insight in general, okay, to help you make better choices, to help you flow with the universe instead of against it? I mean, why would you want to get your ass kicked is my question. But like I said, it's not for everybody because it's a free will situation. It's based on your own faith. It's based on your own choices. It's based on whether or not you really are ready to deal with stuff that's not so pleasant about yourself and maybe your attitude and your energy. For example, if you come through a lot of abuse as a child, and I've had clients that's had some hell of abuse, but they're beautiful people, but they still fight that demon every day. Why? Sometimes it's because they still have those family members in their lives. Oprah Winfrey was a great example of not only was she victimized, but at some point she was expected to caretake for the people who abused her. Riddle me that. Now, it took a great deal of growth and compassion on her part because she actually moved through it and actually has helped a lot of people in her lifetime. But she has admitted in a lot of interviews that it was hard for her. Now, she's an Aquarius, so she's a fixed air sign, and she had to dig deep, even when people didn't see her as being traditionally beautiful, traditional hostess. When she came along, I don't think they had women, a lot of women, hosting their own daytime shows. And she ended up taking a financial risk and owning her own show, meaning she paid for everything. Hey, Jen, thanks for stopping by. And look at her now. Because of that, because of her ownership, her believing in herself and bringing in the right people. Because, guys, you can't do it alone. You can try. You can put a lot of effort in. And like I said, there's free reports. There's a lot of aromatherapy. Hell, there's a lot of affirmations. And, of course, prayers and religion. But to have a coach, to have somebody that's actually watching your back, looking out for you, and giving you a heads up on information that you need, okay? You need it because it's going to give you a peace of mind that at least you know you're not crazy. I had a client yesterday call me just crying, literally. She went to her doctor's office and just sit there and cry. And she called me to say, am I crazy? And of course she is. Of course she's completely nutty as a fruitcake. She's dealing with retro fallout. Her mom's not doing well. She still has to run her business. And well, quite frankly, she's having a mental breakdown. Just hearing me tell her, yes, you are crazy. Yes, you're having a mental breakdown, gave her permission to sit and go, oh, okay. That's what's going on. Because her doctor was about to give her another prescription. Because he was like, I'm not a psychiatrist. I don't play one on TV. But just having a person to bounce off of or a program that can give you insight. These are things, guys, that sound really simple, but they're so well invested for your own mental well-being. You know, we're going to spend money on things. And sometimes those things are just to make us feel good for a hot minute. And I say spend it on something that's going to feed your soul, that's going to give you insight. And I do have a lot of free information. So definitely check me out. follow and like, and dig deeper so that you can be ready to receive. And don't trip about money, because you're going to spend money on what you're going to spend money on. So if you are ready and you're willing, and like I said, there are requirements. So definitely check out my stuff online, because you do need to understand what you're required to do. Because that's a part of that signs decoding information. Because you need to know where your stature is. What kind of mentals am I playing with? Am I open? Am I fixed? Do I want to learn? Do I think I'm worthy? Do I think that I can make the effort to be consistent, not only in taking the information, but applying the information and following through? Because that's one of the requirements as to be a part of my group, is that you have to do follow through. You have to do follow up, and you have to own, even if you make a mistake. One of the things I tell my daughter is that you're going to fail. And that's not negative. It's not negative. It's to prepare her, because even though she's in college, she's almost done, so proud of her. Now she has to go out and apply that information. Now I will be there to support her as best I can, but the actual job and the actual work that she wants to do, she's got to get in there and show them why she wants to do it. And so her energy now is getting used to talking to people and engaging with people and listening to people. And more importantly, seeing if they have anything in common, or any sort of spark as far as relationships of growth. Of growth. I'm going to tell you one more story, and I'm going to get ready to leave, because we still got some things to do. We got some candles to do. We got classes coming up. We got programs. We are going to have mindful meditation. We're going to do 2 this month. And we got a lot of expansion on the programs that you guys definitely should be checking out, because we're going to be doing way more engagement for those who qualify, because I am going to have to put some qualifiers just for my own well-being and for your sanity, because I can't help everybody. That's the truth. Not everybody is willful. Not everybody is the material. They just need a little bit more time. And maybe they just need to do a little bit more, living, more experiencing, because you do have to get a belly full of where you are so that you can change where you're going. But anywho, I told her the story about once upon a time I decided that I just wanted to leave all the spirituality and the entertainment. I was just going to go into a regular gig. And I got a regular gig because I'm mathematics, accounting background. And I got a gig at a computer company. And when I started, they put me in charge of inventory. And it was a multi-million dollar company. I was in charge of the parts coming in, building the product, and then making sure it was shipped out by the end of the day. I actually didn't have a problem with the job. I actually enjoyed the job. At some point, my boss brought in someone else and asked me to help supervise and help train him. I, being a team player, did not think anything of it. Absolutely, let's do that. So as the months go on, and I'm still doing what I do, and he's doing what he does, we're talking one night, and the gentleman just happens to mention that he was getting, I think about $3 more an hour than me, which added up to be a substantial amount of money, just so you know, on a weekly and monthly and yearly basis. Now, I had been there at least 6 to 7 months before him, and I had trained him. And I was doing a lot of extra stuff because that's who I am. I'm a water sign. I want to engulf you. I want you to feel cared for. I want you to know I'm solid and you got a friend. When the gentleman told me he was making more money than me, something broke in me. There was a flood of feeling unappreciated, undervalued, and used that I really had to come to reckonings with. This is where my spirituality, came in strong. I'll tell you astrology another time and how that helped me heal. So I had to go home that night. I did get a bottle of wine. I did drink most of it, and I prayed because I was so hurt that I had done all this work and done all this giving so much of myself to know that this person was making more than me. So I decided to talk to my boss before I lost my mind. I'm a direct person. My Mercury is an Aquarius, so I really don't have a lot of pretentious. What you see is what you get with me. You can ask my family and friends. So I went to my boss and I asked him, did you know about this? Which, of course, damn well he did. And you know what he said to me? You guys are not supposed to be talking about that. You guys are not supposed to be discussing that. And I'm like, did you do it? And he says, well, he's a man. He has a family. He needs more money than you. And I looked at him He says, "You're a woman. You're a pretty woman. I'm sure you can find a husband and you guys can, you know, build a life together." I was single at the time. I was not married. And I said, "So I need to work more and get less so that he and his family can get more, and he doesn't do as much work as me. He does less, he gets more. I do more, I get less. Is that where we're going here?" Yeah, that's what I said. What the? Yeah. And he said yes. Now I had to make a choice here, guys. This is where the grown up came out in me, because it's no longer his fault, because he's telling me the truth of my value to this company. And I decided, you know what? I'm not going to get mad. Hell, I'm not even going to get even. I'm just going to do my job, and I'm going to stay in my lane. And when I say stay in my lane, all those extra things that I was going out of my way to do, all those things to make sure, like, for example, at the end of the day, he gave me his codes to upload the reports that would go out to everybody of what the inventory was as of 12 o'clock, that 12 midnight that day, which means the next day they can report they had X amount of money in inventory, X amount of money in products, and blah, 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 blah. It's a mathematical thing, it's an accounting thing, but it's very important for a company, especially for growth. Now, I was doing that unconsciously without questioning, because he asked me to, and why wouldn't I follow my boss? After this particular incident, I forgot his code. I stopped using it. I uploaded my report to my server, which he completely had access to, and I let it be. Subsequently, as time went on, they started noticing that things weren't running as efficiently in my department. That's what I said. What the hell? And I said, they're running fine. I'm doing XYZ because a mid over there gets $3 more an hour than me. So he can also help you with that. And my boss is like, well, what's the problem? I said, I don't have your code anymore. And he was like, oh, not a problem. Not a problem. Not a problem. And he tried to give me the code and all. I said, no, 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 I don't need it. It's okay. Guys, I had to take my power back. I had to stop giving myself away without understanding my value. And that was the first and last time that I ever let somebody take me down like that. And I've learned since then to put myself first, especially in business, and to be fair to those I work with. Now, I'm here as a spiritual life coach, and I've cultivated so many programs and insight, and I can help you reach your goals and aspiration if you qualify and if you're ready to learn. So, I'm going to ask you to like, follow, and subscribe. I'm going to ask you to pay a little bit more attention, and I'm going to ask you to believe in yourself and just know that you are blessed. All right. I got to go. We got to continue my day. I want to thank you guys for joining me on my TikTok, and thank you guys so much on my YouTube. And just remember, follow, like, please share, leave comments, and just let me know what you think about this episode. And remember, you're blessed. Bye. Bye.